The KIRO 7 Pinpoint Weather Center meteorologist Claire Anderson.
Still waiting for those sun breaks to happen. Cloudy and 63 in downtown Seattle. I'm Lisa Brooks.
Download our app to listen on your smartphone. KIRO Radio 97.3 FM. News and talk. Powered by the Pacific Northwest.
The Big Lead is brought to you by 3010 Weight Loss for Life.
The Dori Monson Show on KIRO Radio. This is The Big Lead.
Coming to you from the Carter Subaru studio. Welcome. Welcome to the big show. It is a very busy news day as well, and we are on top of absolutely all of it for you. Let's get right to the big lead.
The Big Lead. Top story.
For those of you who have teenage kids, it's every parent's greatest nightmare. Your kids are out, you don't know exactly where or with who, and you hope they make good decisions. If you have seen the pictures of this car that Puyallup police had to respond to early this morning, you know what I'm talking about when I say it's every parent's worst nightmare, because some parent or parents got the call in the middle of the night tonight that their 16-year-old was dead. And here's what we know about this crash. There were 4 people in the car. A 16-year-old was driving. So already you know that these kids had made a poor decision, because you can't have passengers in the car at age 16. Also, police found an empty bottle of Bacardi rum right next to the vehicle after it crashed. It was going at a very high rate of speed, left the road. Again, if you've seen the pictures, you know just how horrendous this crash was, as the car wrapped around a tree, and it looks like the impact was right at the driver's door. I mean, the tree was where a driver would be sitting, and the kid was initially taken in critical condition but died from the injuries. The other 3 in the car are very badly hurt. And as I was watching this video and thinking about the nightmare for, of course, these kids, for their parents, their families, their loved ones, their friends, I was reminded of a question that I've asked many times before. And this is coming from a former 16-year-old boy. I truly don't get why we give 16-year-olds driver's licenses. 16-year-old boys in particular. Boys make worse decisions than girls at that age. I've only been involved in one car crash in my lifetime. It was my fault. It was when I was 16 years old, and it was because I was being a moron. And I was a kid who, in general, made pretty good decisions. But you give a kid that kind of... I was by myself in the car. I was trying to go over a hill way over the speed limit so I could get that roller coaster feeling in my stomach. And as I crested the hill, there was a car stopped right in front of me to make a left-hand turn into a driveway, slammed on the brakes, went sliding into the back of that car. It was a horrible decision by me. Nobody was hurt. In fact, the other car was damaged, but the owner, I still can't believe, they didn't want my license and insurance info because my car was completely smashed in. A car that I bought the day before my 16th birthday because I needed to drive to college and I needed to drive to my full-time job, and I was paying for it myself. It was completely smashed. And it was me being a moron. And then when all of our girls got to their high school years, we stressed you better not have anybody in your car when you're 16 until that restriction is gone, or you will not have a driver's license or a car until you're 18, because we will be dogmatic about it. But then you always have to trust and hope and pray that your kids make good decisions about who they choose to get into the car with. And that gets back to my point. We hear from everybody in our society that we got to take guns away from 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds because their brains are not sufficiently developed. But the same people on the political spectrum who want to take guns away from 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, they want to lower the voting age to 16 and give the power of the vote to brains that are even more insufficiently developed. But why? What is the trade-off for society and for parents and for kids when so many 16 and 17-year-old boys are killing themselves and killing others driving on our roads? It's just a fact of the matter, and the statistics are quite compelling that those are the ages. And it's not just because they are the newest drivers and most inexperienced. It's because when you're a 16-year-old boy, in particular, girls, there are some 16-year-old girls who make really bad decisions too. But 16-year-old boys, even the ones who are the so-called really good kids, they can make horrible decisions, life-ending decisions. And I know it's a hassle for mom and dad because that means you have to pick up and drop off your kids at their soccer practice and their basketball games and their piano lessons for an extra couple of years. And it's never we're never going to raise the driver's license age to 18. But I'm dead serious. I think the driver's license age should be 16 for girls and 18 for boys. And the stats back me up on that. And it's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking when you see yet another story like this one where a 16-year-old kid's dead, his friends are horribly injured, and we continue to put these death machines in the hands of insufficiently developed minds. And again, I was in that category myself. I was one of those insufficiently developed 16-year-old boys who made a horrible decision that thankfully did not kill anybody. We should raise the driver's license age to 18 for boys. Next up, in the big lead.
The Big Lead, Dori Monson Show exclusive.
Yeah, that's because we just got this. It was just posted today. But as you know, the Seattle City Council, a lot of races are up for grabs. The primary ballots are due next Tuesday. And a local singer, songwriter, political commentator, apparently, her name's Abby London. This was just sent to me. I put it out on my Twitter if you want to see the whole thing. If you go to just at Dori Monson, DoriMonson, because the video, the background is a collage of news stories about just how bad things have gotten in Seattle. But Abby London is singing that she's hoping voters will find a way to make a significant change this year with the Seattle City Council.
They said don't believe what you see on Como News. Not in our interest to discuss opposing views. So I repeat myself at the risk of being crude. There must be 50 ways to boot the council. There must be 50 ways to boot the council. Take a long hike, Mike. Make a new plan, Swan. Don't lose your head, Dad. Just listen to us. Dig in the new job, Rob. You don't need an excuse, Bruce. Just pack up your pals out. Your time is up.
Okay, that's pretty good. The only one that didn't quite work was make a new plan, Swan. That one didn't quite fit for me. But the rest of it was pretty clever. I like this.
They don't care how many move away, die, or get abused. All they see is status quo, bike lanes, and revenue. So now they'll be the ones out there singing the blues. 50 ways to boot the council. They said it's really not in their habit to tell the truth. Furthermore, they make sure it gets ignored or misconstrued. So I repeat myself at the risk of being cruel. There must be 50 ways to boot the council. 50 ways to boot the council. Take a long hike, Mike. Make a new plan, Swan. Don't lose your head, Deb. Just listen to us.
Here, so let's go.
Dig in the new job, Rob. You don't need an excuse, Bruce. Just pack up your pals, Sal. Your time is up.
That was pretty good. So Abby London did that. Just wanted to share that with you. And again, if you want to see the whole thing, I have it on Twitter, at Dori Monson, DoriMonson. Or we have it up at mynorthwest.com on the Dori Monson show page. But it's cleverly done. Next up, in the big lead.
The Big Lead. Top trending.
Nicole, when I called you from my wife's phone last night, did I hold myself together and sound relatively calm to you?
Mostly.
Okay. That was all an act. I never...
I knew that.
I never lose my phone. Never. And I'm home yesterday.
Except for when Dave Bose stole
when
it.
Dave Bose took my phone down to Tacoma with him, because I set it on my desk. That was the only time I can remember ever misplacing my phone. I just always am very good about knowing where it is. And I happened to have a lot of work that I had to do last night and a lot of conversations that I needed to have.
Mm-hmm.
I can't find my phone anywhere. And all three of my wife and all three of my daughters happened to be at the house because two of them were going to run stairs near our house. Third one was over. And so they're calling my phone, and I'm going to every room because I have it on vibrate. And I go to my car. It's not there. I call Nicole from my wife's phone because I have no idea how to get hold of you.
I knew that it had to be at your house or you would have noticed sooner because this is a couple hours after work.
Yes.
There's no way you wouldn't look at your phone
But
for a
by
couple
the way,
hours.
if my wife hadn't been at home or my daughters, I would have no way to get hold of you.
Whose numbers do you know? And by the way, you do have a computer and you could message me on there. But
I know my wife's number. I do not know any of my daughters' phone numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know your phone number.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. I think my wife.
Okay.
Yeah, no, in the old friends.
That's
I
normal.
but I remember.
That's how it is now. Back in the day, I knew
remember
everyone.
all of my friends' phone numbers from childhood.
Mm-hmm. I remember. I think I remember most of mine as well. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but there are certain shirts that I wear, and if I sweat, it'll show through the shirt. Have you ever? I don't know if you've ever
There's
seen that.
only one that doesn't.
So I happen to be wearing this green T-shirt, and all of a sudden, I'm in a lather. I mean, I'm just sweating profusely. My wife wanted to talk to me about something else, and honey, I can't talk till I find my phone. And I'm on the Find My iPhone, and the only thing I could ping was my iPad because I was just going crazy.
And meanwhile, so you did call me on your wife's phone,
Yes.
and I had everyone here searching.
Yeah,
Candy
so-
was looking through your desk.
Yeah,
Todd was looking around
Candy
the
and
spot.
Todd are trying to help me out here, and I'm going berserk. And I realized this is so unhealthy. This to be so completely beholden to a little tiny device like that. And then I thought about that more. Oh, by the way, so finally, after calling it literally over 20 times from my wife and daughter's phones, not hearing it buzz anywhere, all of a sudden on the 21st call, I heard a faint. Zzz, zzz, zzz. Shh. We shut all the windows. There'd be no ambient sound. Call it a 22nd time. We couldn't find it. It somehow had just gotten buried in my couch. Just buried.
I don't know how you can. I'm sure that you were sitting on the couch and you lost it in the cushion, and sitting on the couch you couldn't feel it vibrating.
No.
crazy.
I tried everything. Anyway, we are so beholden to these devices, and so much of our life is tied up in them. And then I hear a little bit later in the afternoon yesterday that a person from Seattle has hacked Capital One, stealing data from 100 million customers. A 33-year-old named Paige Thompson, a Seattle-based transgender former Amazon engineer. The 140,000 people had their Social Security numbers, or she had access to them. 80,000 had their credit card details accessed. It had been on the Capital One in the Amazon cloud. Amazon is sending out all these press releases that the cloud had nothing to do with it. It was Capital One security. They're trying to distance themselves from it. The person, the more you hear about this person, the more you realize just how wackadoodle this person is. In fact, KIRO 7, they went to this person. Do you have those audio cuts in there for me, KIRO 7?
Yep.
Hold on.
Right in front of you. It says Capital One.
Oh, Capital One. There it is. Okay, so they went and talked to this person's roommate, who also says that they are a woman.
You're in the house with that person. I mean, we didn't know what she was doing.
You don't think she knew they were onto her?
No, she's a smart hacker.
Okay, and the roommate described when the FBI and authorities showed up.
Oh, I threw up twice. She just didn't want to come out. Like, I mean, she was like, "Why are you here? Why are you here?" And
Paige Thompson, the alleged hacker, Paige Thompson's online, one of Paige's online handles is erratic.
Her Twitter handle was very, very fitting. You've seen it, erratic. That's pretty much the best way to describe her.
And one thing that struck me, and so anyway, we're all beholden to technology, and we have so much info in the cloud, and hackers are constantly trying to access us. My daughter was telling me she and her husband a few days ago, they were having a conversation about an airline, and about 3 minutes later, an ad for that airline popped up on their computer screen. And so, you know, our devices are listening to us. Our phones are listening. You got an Alexa that's listening. It's scary. And it's scary how emotionally crippled we are when we lose it. The other thing that struck me about this story, you know, there have been a lot of transgender issues in the news. And I always stress, you know, somebody who just lives their life and wants to live as another gender, none of my business. But I do find it intriguing how it's mandated that you use their chosen pronouns when we're supposed to assume that's the only aspect of their life where they're saying, because this person has been tweeting at Donald Trump saying that they wanted to be deported, had been on social media saying they knew what they were doing was illegal, saying that they wanted to go to a European country that had assisted suicide. I mean, every aspect of this person's life is mentally way, way off. But saying they're a different gender, all of us are supposed to use the preferred, their chosen pronouns and say, well, that's one area where they're making sense. And I don't like people telling me, like when someone's pregnant, we're supposed to call that person a man and hey. I don't like that because it's not so. It's this mandated language that is being imposed on us. And in this story, it's like every aspect of this person's life is crazy, but we should accept as perfectly reasonable their choice of gender. But everything else, way off. It's very odd to me. The whole thing's very odd. And all of that is your big lead for today.
The Big Lead on KIRO Radio.
Oh, we got so much great stuff coming up. A witness of that downtown rampage. We're going to talk to him next hour. And in fact, wait until you hear what the perpetrator of that downtown rampage is doing today. So we'll get to that coming up in the next hour. Up next, more of the controversy about the president in Baltimore and allegations of racism. Whew. All straight ahead as we get rolling.
This hour